All right, this is the follow-up lecture promised for the final part of our struts project, the ClubDB struts. And I believe we had left the application on Wednesday at a point where we were getting to the update screen, and we have an update operation which needs improvement because all it does is show a change in data from the screen values to the old original. But let's run it one more time quickly to see the function. Oh, I guess I also need to open my command line client to use my Club 294 database. Okay, here comes the screen. I needed to remind myself. I select star from TBL members. I'm at 180 on my password for my A043 record. All right. So A043 with the correct password does get us to the update screen, but at this point, the only thing that happens when we try to do an update is, oh, a crash. Well, I wasn't even expecting that. No result defined for action member update. Ah, okay. So what had happened is that we had, I think we got to our execute operation, but then we did a return success in member update, and I'm guessing I don't have that identified in my struts XML file. Well, yes I do. Member update, member screen, JSP, actions member update, and it's supposed to go back. Well, let's see. That's a little confusing to me then. Member update. I think I got into my action. Let me just do a quick verification here that we're operating on our member update execute method. We don't have a validate method. So let me try this again with a debug. Oh, now struts is not behaving on debug. I've noticed that this happens quite a bit with the struts framework. So I'm going to stop my debug attempt. I'm going to do a clean and build. Oh, it won't even let me do a clean and build? There we go, clean and build. But now I probably have the Tomcat in some kind of limbo status. So let me try to debug now and see if we get any better response. Now Tomcat is opening up. There we go, that's looking better. I don't know why it goes into that limbo state. Okay, so we went A043, we did 180. That got us to this screen, so an update member data. We'll do a data change here. Should get us to the member update page, and it's not. No result defined for action. Actions.member update and result. Oh, input. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so the input, but why didn't it stop? I thought it was supposed to stop when it got to the execute action. Well, we can fix the problem, but let's see. We've gotten to the member screen. The member screen is an S struts form element, member update, and member update.java should execute struts action member update calls for member screen success. Well, I'm going to go ahead and add an input entry here. Come on. Just going to Control C, Control V. Why isn't it? Oh, good grief. Won't even paste there. It finally did. Wouldn't paste Control V for some reason. Okay, so we are going to say that on an input we're also going back to the member screen. So the same action. Can't figure out why it's hiccuping on that and not even getting into the member update that I can tell. Well, let's try it one more time now that we think we've got in place what it says is missing. I'm not seeing my message. I thought I had a message coming up here. So we are getting back to the screen, but I still think I'm going to have to debug it to figure out why in the heck it is not calling for sorry, I had someone enter the room and I had to respond to them. So are we not getting to our member update.java? Let's look at this struts again. Success on a login goes to member screen JSP. That should invoke the member update action, which goes to actions.memberUpdate. Okay, one more time I'm going to clean and build and then run in debug mode to see if I can get my execute operation confirmed as running. But it didn't appear that it was running unless my member screen doesn't have a message. Well, we know it has a message string on it. It's down there. Okay, trying again. Well, this lecture is not starting off too well. Okay, something very strange is happening. It is not running the expected member update action, clearly, because I'm not getting a stop. All right, I'm going to have to pause and see what's going on. All right, well, I have found the problem. And the fix requires a little bit more code, but I swear to you that when I was building my struts ClubDB project on a different machine, this problem did not occur. And so it's something with struts, and I can't seem to get to the code But here's the story. So if we look at member.java, we have the date business going on, and we've got member date, temporal type, and that's the Hibernate part of it, pulls it correctly. And then from the standpoint of member update screen, or member screen JSP, Struts is supposed to do this automatic data conversion for us. And in this case, it should be doing a conversion on member date using the set mem date that takes a date, and it should do the conversion automatically. At least that's what it was doing on another machine. So if we look at member screen, JSP, our member date field down here takes member.memDate as the method. So set memDate and get memDate are the fields that should be involved. And it pulls from the session value using memDateS. I haven't tried pulling just memDate. Maybe that, I don't know, I think that's going to show a wrong value. But anyway, so when you run this and it appears that nothing was happening, in fact, it was going into member update and it was running the automatic set and get methods so that we were supposed to be able to map the entire form immediately to a member without having to do it field by field. Well, it was crashing in that spot, and that's why it was wanting an input. It was crashing with a return exception, all of this hidden from the developer, crashing with a return exception of input. So that's why it was telling us we needed an input. And if you look at the Apache Tomcat log, here's what it was saying: that it could not do an automatic mapping between the form and the member object because it wanted a set memDate that took a string. Again, my information was that Struts was supposed to do this data conversion automatically, but we can fix the problem by adding some code. I've already got the code and tested it, so here it comes in one block. We're going to add oh, this is great. Now it's not recognizing my code properly. Let's see what's involved here. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm in the wrong. Oh dear, I'm in member update.java. Okay, take that out. Sorry, that's why I wasn't recognizing it. Member update.java doesn't have to change. It still uses the struts get and set. Member.java, where we have the set member date that expects a date. If you add, and we could probably just replace, but if you add this following method, set member date that takes a string, memDate, and then set the global to your simple date format parser. So you parse the string that comes in into a date. You have to do it in a try-catch because that can throw a parse exception. And we're going to turn memDate to null if that's the case. Or maybe we should just not do anything. But I'll turn it to null, so we'll see it if it happens. Anyway, so you have an overloaded method, set memDate, that takes a string, and now when you run, Struts will not throw its input return value exception. So we've gotten to the club member update screen. We make a change. We do an update member, and now it's correctly going through the execute method of member update, saying, "Oh, you tried to change the middle initial to X from the old of G." Okay, wow. Well, that was not a good start to our day here, but that will evidently fix the code until further notice. So member date is there, and we are ready to go back to member update.java and see if we can make the execute method do the proper task based on the Hibernate logic that we need to implement. So I'm going to simplify this, shorten it, not do data validation and other things that I should be doing. So I'm going to comment out that old string, old and new business that we don't really need anymore. And my code is going to be that the actual message, so string message, will be a result of a member DB call to update member based on MEMBER, based on not the M object that was the session object, but the member, in other words, this dot member, the global that came in. So this call, once we finish the member DB logic, that call will take the member object that Struts built for us, now using that string-based date converter. It will take that object and update the member ID, and if we're successful, then that will become the new member in the session. If not, we're just going to leave M as the session member. So we can actually get the update member logic from our earlier version of the ClubDB, and I've closed mine here, so I've got to reopen that project. So if I reopen my ClubDB project, the JPA version of ClubDB, then I've got a member DB static method that does an update. And I think that this is close enough to the code we actually need for Hibernate. Remember, this was done with the Eclipse link. But let me just take a quick look here. Well, you know what? I'm looking at it again, and it's just not close enough. Sorry. Let's just write it from scratch. It won't take us that long. Member DB. We will have a public static update, or it's a string. It's going to return that return value. Update member that takes in a member object M, and we will need. If I could manage to get a proper starting and ending curly brace there. All right, so we're going to need our session factory and session. So I can copy those down from above. We're also going to need a string for that message that I'll initialize to the empty string. And then in a try-catch block, to conform with Hibernate, we will do a session equals session factory dot open session. And once we have the session open, we'll begin a transaction. So session begin transaction, and we will do a session merge of the object M, and we do a session transaction get transaction commit. Now I have this code in my update function as well, a flush and then a refresh, but this also seemed not to do exactly what I was hoping. But if we get all the way through that, member updated will be the result. No, we don't need to put those in. We'll leave the JSP page to do that. All right. Otherwise, if we catch any exception E, we'll set message equal to error. In this case, error on member update. And we'll add in the actual message that the system produces. And we have to do a session get transaction rollback. In that case, otherwise, as we depart, we will close the session, and we'll, in the end, we'll return the message string. So it'll either say member updated, or it'll start with the word error, that we were not able to merge the member back. So I'll leave it there for just a second, or if you want to pause it, we'll let you catch up on that typing. This takes the member that comes in, writes it back using the Hibernate facilities, so that when we go back to member update now, it should be happy with member db.update member, member.db. Oh, does it need an import? We don't have an import yet for that? That's right. Business.member.db. Import? Okay. So we just fishing around my notes here. So we send it the member that Struts gave us from the form data, and then we'll put the message on the request object. However, we probably should do this as well. String message, so we're going to say that if message does not start with an error, so if not message starts with error, then the merge was successful, and we will put the member back on the session, but you'll notice that it now replaces. So we don't, in a sense, we don't even, the way I'm doing the code, we should do it. We should probably do a validation check between the member values and the new members values that came in. I'm just bypassing that for speed or efficiency. Well, not efficiency, but for speed's sake, because I'm not too worried about it. I just want to prove the principles. So the M we didn't end up even really needing, and that's what it's telling us here, that variable M is not used. But we will replace with a successful update of the member that Struts gave us. We will replace that on the session. And there's one other thing we're going to have to do, but we won't see that until we get to our next step. So this is, I was telling you that there was a little problem with that refresh and the flush and refresh business, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. But here, we should now have an execute method in member update, which will successfully change the values in the database based on the Hibernate call. So let me clean and build this project and see if it's cleared up all my red code. I'm still getting this unable to delete struts convention plugin problem. It's happening all the time, but I'm just ignoring it, and the system seems to run correctly. All right, so one more time. AO43, correct password. Here we go. We're at Joseph G. I now want to change G to X, and we'll do a member update. And we got the member updated message back. Oh, look at that. Member date has disappeared. So we've still got some interesting problems going on with member date. Let me see, was that... Yeah, okay. So members updated. Let's see if it's in fact not getting the date correct. Let's do a select star from TDL members. Let's see if we have a problem. Yep, it is in fact turning our member date to null when it's doing the merge. So we must not be getting member date. Oh gosh, this is such a mess that I was not experiencing on my other system. Let me pause again and see if I can figure out this lovely little problem still with our member date. Well, as I work with my system here, I find that now my Tomcat is fouled up and failing to start, so I'm going to have to reboot my system, which of course will break my recording, so we will have another recording shortly. Sorry about that, and I will see you in the next recording.